Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today I'm going to show you how to make a customizable DIY ornament garland for your Christmas tree that actually might cost you less than it would if you were to buy it in the store. Not only might it cost you less, but it'll be a fuller ornament garland than most things that you can find in the store, and it'll truly be a beautiful and timeless piece of decor for your Christmas tree. I'm also going to show you how to make the ribbon garland on the tree, and then I'm going to show you how to attach both pieces to the tree. Now, this won't be the final way our Christmas tree looks. This is our family room Christmas tree, so we always decorate this tree with ornaments that are special to us too. But these first two projects are a really fun way to kick off the holiday season and to give our tree a nice cohesive look. Once we get closer to the holiday, I will be doing a video of all of our Christmas decor around the house to show you and kind of giving a little holiday tour. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can follow along and don't miss out on that video. Now let's get started and I'll show you how to make the ribbon craft and the DIY ornament garland. First thing you want to do is gather your supplies for both of these crafts. So here are the things you need for the ribbon bows and the DIY ornament garland. And that is ribbon of your choice with wire about 2 to 3 inches wide, scissors, ornaments of your choice where you can use all the same color or different colors and sizes. You will need about 350 of these if your tree is the same size as mine, so keep that in mind. A tape measure, floral wire, and floral cutters. We are going to start with the ribbon craft because that is the easier of the two. These are both very easy, but this is the easier one. So you first want to take your tape measure and start by measuring 3 feet. This is the size of my smaller 3-looped ribbons in my tree. And you want to measure that out to 3 feet and then just cut the ribbon. I started out by making about 4 or 5 of these so that I could test them out, and this is what they look like on the tree. I did end up going back in and making a couple more so I could fill in all of my nooks and crannies on the tree itself. Once all the ribbon was cut, I went in and I looped over my ribbon on top of each other. So I really wanted each section of the ribbon to be equal, and I just folded it in half and tried to make them as equal as possible. You still will need to leave some ribbon on the bottom so that you can kind of hold this whole thing together, and you just got to make sure you have that so that this doesn't come untied. And then I just took a soft floral wire and banded it together here on the bottom. For my longer pieces of ribbon in the tree, I went and measured those out to 6 feet. They look like this on the tree. Each of those are 6 feet. So I used about 3 feet to make the loops again, and then I have about maybe 2 feet dangling. You end up losing some of the ribbon itself in kind of the bottom folds of the ribbon where you have to attach everything together with the floral wire. So it does end up a little shorter than 6 feet, and you just have to plan for that. So I found that 6 feet was a great length because it still allowed the loops to be the same size as my other loops while giving me enough of a tail on it that I felt like it looked good in the tree. Then, just like the other bows, I went and I looped floral wire around the base of where the looped ribbons are at and really held everything together, just twisting the floral wire around that piece. The last thing I did here was I cut off a little bit of the ribbon itself to give some nice shape to the ribbon so it would sit pretty in the tree. That's really all there is to the ribbon craft itself. It is very simple, so if you are not a crafty person, this is a great place for you to start to add some customization to your Christmas tree and make it look beautiful. Here's what the two look like together. Jumping right into the ornament craft, I used that same tape measure and I went and I measured out 6 feet of floral wire for my top two garlands on my Christmas tree. These two garlands wrap around the entire tree and they are both 6 feet in length. We will talk about the lower ones when we get there, but the first top two are 6 feet. To start off, I went and looped one piece of floral wire through the eye of the ornament holder and twisted it around. So this was my starting point and would be either my starting point or my ending point in the tree, and that secured the entire garland for me. Once that was in place, I simply went about threading all of my ornaments onto my wire. So this project does take up a little bit of space. You will need a large table to work on. I was actually struggling trying to stay in frame for you guys the entire time I was working on this, but you do need some space. You are working with a lot of ornaments and a long length of wire, so keep that in mind. My pattern went about 3 red ornaments, 1 maroon, and then 3-ish green ornaments. So I played with the sizes as I was moving along and really went with that pattern throughout the entire garland project. Now, once I got fully into this project, I realized how many ornaments it was kind of gobbling up. And in order to try to give myself some space, I went and I decided to secure a couple of the ornaments to the spot that they were on the wire so that they weren't moving around and that they can be secure and kind of markers for me and for the garland itself. I usually try to do that with the larger ornaments, and then the smaller ones I kind of left loose so that I could move them around once they were on the tree. This whole process did take some trial and error for me, so as you're working on yours, you may find that you want to tie on a few more. I think I actually do tie on an extra one here to give myself some space. Basically what the tie is doing, the extra little bit of floral wire and securing it to that exact spot on the wire itself, is it's giving you a spacer and it's acting as a stop so that you are not using as many ornaments as you might find if you didn't do this. If you don't do this, they will all kind of bunch and clump together and you will literally be adding in so many ornaments that you will use a lot more than 350. I also know that number 350 sounds really daunting, but it actually doesn't feel like that many. And if you go right now, you can get your ornaments on sale, usually at your local craft stores. I will have a link to the full blog post on this in the description below, and in that I've included some links to some ornament groups that you can buy online if you want to do something similar. But I would suggest going to your local craft store and seeing what they have in the colors that you want, because they are usually all half off right now and they have some great deals. I got all of my boxes for about $11 each, which is why this total project for me cost only about $120. Now, is that the cheapest DIY craft that you can do? Definitely not. So this is not a inexpensive craft. I will say it's definitely not something that you can do for $50, but what you will find is that most ornament garlands are at least $20. I found some up to $60, and I needed 4 strands of garland for my tree in various sizes to make it all look covered. I actually do not have the back covered on my last 2 bottom strands, but I did need 4 pieces of ornament garland. So planning for that, you will end up spending, even if you find the cheapest ornament garland you can find, about $140 to actually over $450 with what I found online. So this does save a considerable amount of money if you want to do it on your own and take the time to do it, and you can find those deals on the ornaments themselves. And again, I have the price breakdown and all of my math on the website, so you can go see it there if you think that I am wrong, and let me know if you can find ornament garland that looks great for less. I hope that you can, quite honestly, because it is a more expensive piece of Christmas decor. But this was a great way for me to make it inexpensive for myself and to really get the look that I was going to. This garland just turned out so beautiful, and it is so much fuller than some of the ones I did see in the stores. I'm going to speed this up for you right now so you can watch me work on this entire length of 6-foot garland, and then I will show you how I attach it and the bows to the tree. Once you get to the end of your DIY ornament garland, you want to tie off the end just like you started it. So put one ornament on there and twist the floral wire into the eye hook of the ornament, and then make sure your spacing is good and everything is holding well. Then it is time to add this to the tree. When attaching the ornament garlands to the tree, you will probably need a helper. So here is mine. He was off on Thanksgiving break and he was volunteered to help me add this to the tree. So I'm just carefully going around and twisting the garland onto the tree with some more floral wire. It's essentially just like hanging any other heavy ornament or any other kind of heavy garland, and it's really simple to just twist it on there with a couple pieces of floral wire every about 1.5 feet or so. Here is a close-up of that so you can see in some cases I just twisted the wire onto the branches. I looped it through the main wire for the ornament garland and then twisted it onto the branches. In other cases I did loop my floral wire so that it could act almost as a hanging ornament, and I did this if there wasn't a branch kind of near where I needed it for the ornament garland itself. In some cases, I was able to use the branches of the tree to help hold the ornament garland in place, and I really worked with all of the smaller ornaments that I had left loose in order to get everything kind of looking the way I wanted it to look so that the garland still looked full and that it wrapped around the tree and just looked overall really beautiful. Now, when I got to the garland on the bottom half of the tree, so the last two pieces, I decided I wanted to go in and bulk each of them up because it is a weightier part of the tree. I thought that the garland would look better if it was also weightier. So these last two pieces of garland that I'm working on the tree, this one and then the one below it, I did go in and start adding some ornaments to it. Also, these two do not cover the back of the tree. They had to be longer in order to wrap around the tree. So the one that I'm working on currently here is 7 feet long. And then the bottom one that I will put on here in a little bit is 9 feet long. So those two are much longer than the other two, but they really worked well for wrapping around the sides, which are visible on my tree, and the front. Again, they're not on the back though. So throughout this process, you can see me kind of standing back and looking at the garland a lot. You will do that a lot as you are placing this on your tree. And I'm basically looking for holes where I can bulk up the garland a little more to make it look weightier and to just really make sure that it looks good on the tree and that it looks like it belongs on that part of the tree so that it doesn't feel kind of too dinky. I tried using a lot of my larger ornaments that I had left to fill in some of these holes so that that bottom piece was a lot bulkier than the two top pieces, which are on the thinner parts of the tree. As I'm doing this, I do also go back in sometimes too and add some more floral wire to attach the whole thing to the tree. I am essentially making the garland itself heavier, and you want to make sure that the tree looks like it can also still support it. And that just means you have to add some more wire to the ornament garland itself to hold it onto the tree. The ribbon is attached in essentially the same way as the DIY ornament garland, so I just looped some floral wire through the ribbon and then tied it into the tree. With the shorter pieces, once the ribbon was tied onto the tree, I went in and kind of shoved it in further so that you couldn't see any of the folds, and then fluffed up the loops of the ribbon. With the longer ribbon, I went in and attached it the same way. I just put floral wire through kind of the loops and around that part that I had connected and secured before, and then shoved that into the tree. And then the tail of all the longer ribbons I worked with separately so that I could just use the branches of the tree to hold them in place. There was really no good spot to attach floral wire to some of the tails, so I really just relied on the tree itself to do that part of the work for me. Thank you guys so much for following along today. I hope that you love the ribbon craft and the DIY ornament garland. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Also, there is a full blog post with step-by-step instructions up at sugarmaplefarmhouse.com, and I will leave a link to that in the description below. Also, before you go, if you could remember to hit that subscribe button and follow along with us here at the farm. I craft, I cook, I garden. There's a little bit of everything that happens here. And if you like to do a little bit of everything too, I hope that you'll join us. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.